Good afternoon.
Hey, Barry. Hey, Kathy.
So Wendy, how's things in Frankfurt today?
You know, they're all right. My allergies are exploding, but I'm muddling through.
I could tell it in your eyes. It is absolutely a gorgeous day until you get outside in it.
I'll take it. It's worth it. It's
Absolutely.
sunny weather and longer days. I'll take some allergies in exchange.
Dennis, you look like you were busy in your office. You have something big behind you. Did you actually catch that?
Yeah, that fish cost me about 25 grand. That's why it's down here.
Looks good though.
Yeah, it looks good. It's bad memories, but my wife's just smarter than I am. I brought that. She told me not to bring nothing home. I wound up bringing that thing home and paid an enormous price to bring it back. And she left it out in the driveway for in the garage for a couple of weeks. And I didn't even look at it. One day she called me up. She says, I've been wrong to you. She said, I found a place down in our recreation room where we could put that. So I went down there. I thought the fish gods had been good to me. I didn't know. I got down there and got that thing out of the box. She helped me put it up on the wall and all that. And she said, boy, that looks really good. But she said, you know what? It don't match the paint or the furniture. So that's how that fish wound up costing me $25,000.
There's the reason behind it.
Yeah.
And now you even moved to the office. So
yeah, I caught that with Mark Story. I think it was Mark.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I forget who else was with us, but they leased the boat down in Cabo. We were down there on one of them trips for manufactured housing. And we went out and I was the only one who caught anything. And then I tried to get them to release the damn thing. And they said, what about if we kept it? So that was just an excuse for me to get stuck with it. That's what it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Don't never marry a woman from Marion County.
Hey now.
I'm not saying a word here.
I'm from Marion County.
They're much smarter than we are. Wendy, do you know the Higdons?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Who were you married to?
A Higdon?
Like one of Jimmy's sisters?
No, it's Jimmy's cousin. She was a Higdon. She was married to, or she was the daughter of R.B. Higdon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I live just 2 houses down from Jimmy and Jane.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy's a good fella. Always been good to me.
Jane, we call Jane the neighborhood watch. If there's any strange noise or anything goes on, she gives us a call.
I could guess that. Barry, are you still in the manufactured housing business?
I better be.
Oh, good.
Yeah, supposedly they pay my bill every once in a while, so
Yeah.
better. I'm not really for sure because I spent half the day here in Louisville. So, Kathy, I'm doing your work now.
Yeah.
On affordable housing. I've been down at the mayor's office all day. So you'll
Excellent.
Yeah, it was actually a good day. So I'm actually in a hotel here in Louisville. So I apologize for the background noise, but apparently everywhere in this hotel has a Muzak everywhere. So there's not a quiet location I could sneak away to. But otherwise, it was a good day. So I think we're a little after 1 o'clock. So we might as well call the meeting to order. Winnie, I'm assuming the press has been notified.
Yeah.
Okay, and we can have public participation if we need. I'm assuming also we have a quorum. My Brady Bunch screen because I can only see half people on the laptop. So I apologize, PG and Kathy. I don't get to see you guys until I scroll over.
I'm here.
Yeah. Hey, PG, how are you?
Good.
Well, I think we'll jump into the meat of it. David's going to go through our proposed amendment to the QAP plan. So, David, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. And I appreciate you all jumping on this call. I know it's out of the ordinary as far as the schedule goes. So I will briefly run through what we intend to do, why we intend to do it, the steps involved, and give a little feedback. And then I'm happy to answer any questions once I kind of get through that. So if that's all right with you all, I will share my screen and share a little PowerPoint that I've put together. Is everyone able to see that PowerPoint okay?
Yes.
Great. So like I said, the purpose of this meeting is to inform the committee regarding a proposed change to the qualified allocation plan. You might recall KHC is required to have a qualified allocation plan with respect to our 9% low-income housing tax credits. And generally what we do is we will have a 2-year QAP, as we refer to it. And it goes through the process of board approval, governor sign-off, and it stays in place for 2 years, unless we take a measure where we feel like there's a need to amend it, in which case we'll need to go back through the process. So what's happened that's led us to feel the need for a change to going into the second year of the QAP is the disasters that have occurred in the state. And so I want to give a little bit of a background as to how things have occurred with respect to Western Kentucky and our proposed change to this QAP as it impacts Eastern Kentucky. So as we all know, December 2021, we had the tornado outbreak in Western Kentucky. And shortly after that, KHC began discussing multifamily housing solutions with developers with respect to that disaster. A lot of that focused on the use of tax-exempt bonds and how we could leverage those in Western Kentucky to aid recovery. These conversations occurred throughout 2022 and now that we're into 2023. And we have actually, I should say those conversations with developers have occurred, and we have also been in touch with the Department of Local Government with respect to the CDBG DR funds that they will be receiving. That's the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funds that have been allocated to the state with respect to the disaster. those funds and those conversations had centered around leveraging those funds with KHC's tax-exempt bonds. And we are still working with DLG in response. We recently received some public feedback with respect to what we plan to do in Western Kentucky. And we continue to work with DLG to ensure that there's going to be sufficient gap funding available for these Western Kentucky recovery efforts. So those Western Kentucky, we've been working on that plan, right from the time the disaster occurred. KHC has been involved in what a multifamily housing solution might look like. And that's been our focus in Western Kentucky. As we all know, subsequent to those tornadoes, there was flooding in Eastern Kentucky in July of 2022. At this point in time, we've decided that in looking at market conditions, at historically the developments that have occurred in Eastern Kentucky, the markets, tax-exempt bonds are not as feasible in Eastern Kentucky for multifamily housing development. And so that's really not a solution. However, the 9% low-income housing tax credits could offer a solution. And so what we feel is an appropriate response in Eastern Kentucky is to use those 9%. And really the best way to ensure that we are able to fund a project using these in Eastern Kentucky is to create a set-aside pool for Eastern Kentucky, which in doing so, we felt the need to amend our qualified allocation plan. So we've come up with that idea. What we have done to date is in early March, we had a developer forum. We held that virtually. We had a very large attendance where we discussed this proposal with our developers, outlining the Eastern Kentucky and Western Kentucky approach. And then on March 23rd, in order to amend our QAP, we have to hold a public hearing and take public comment. So on March 23rd, we held that public hearing with respect to amending the QAP and opened up the public comment period. That was open for a little more than a week. We did receive a number of comments. Some of those comments were focused on our QAP in general and not so much on the proposed changes that we were making. But we did receive a number of comments, which I'll discuss here in a bit with respect to the proposed changes. So once that public comment period closed, we did take the opportunity to review those comments, to have some discussions with the stakeholders who made the comments, and to evaluate what we were proposing to do. So I'll step into it here in a minute, but as an overall proposal, what we were proposing initially when we were discussing this with the public was our QAP has various pools. And what I'll do is I'll actually jump forward a slide or two to show that. What we had initially proposed was eliminating our innovation pool this year and setting that money aside for the Eastern Kentucky new supply pool. So for that 1 year, we would get rid of the innovation pool. A lot of the feedback that we received was supportive of keeping the innovation pool. And so we received several comments that suggested rather than completely eliminating the innovation pool to fund the Eastern Kentucky pool, maybe limiting reducing the other pools a little bit as well. So we took that feedback, and that's actually the main gist of our proposed amendment to the QAP is to create this Eastern Kentucky new supply pool, and to do so by reducing each of the other pools slightly in order to fund that pool. And so those are the steps that we've taken to date. The steps going forward, obviously we have our meeting today with the Programs and Policy Committee to review this. The board will have to approve this QAP amendment, as will the governor's office. And so with the board meeting coming up on the 27th, we hope to get that approval, as well as sign off from the governor. And then from there, we'll be able to open these 9% LIHTC applications utilizing this amended QAP. And then as usual, those applications would be due mid-August. Along the same lines, I've mentioned the Western Kentucky response. We had originally planned on opening that bond NOFA, where we were opening tax-exempt bonds along with some gap financing, including the CDBG DR funds, around the same time as this QAP. I think at this point in time, we're going to delay that a little bit, probably until July or August, so that we can make sure we have everything in order to ensure the financing is available for that. So that's where we've been. That's where we need to go. So I touched on a bit of what we have proposed changing. Again, the big change is to create this Eastern Kentucky set-aside pool. The pool will be limited to the 4 hardest hit counties in Eastern Kentucky. That is Breathitt, Fletcher, Knott, and Perry counties. And with the size of this pool, we do expect to get 1 or more, hopefully more, multifamily projects in that region as a result of this. So again, I think that received the largest feedback from the public in our comments. We are making one, I shouldn't say one, it's really 2, but another adjustment to our QAP in the process of amending it. And that is to tweak the scoring criteria for disadvantaged business entities participation in these 9% projects. We made a change when we put the last QAP together, the 2-year QAP, in order to, one of our goals is to increase participation in a meaningful way of disadvantaged business entities. And so that we tweaked our scoring in this 2-year QAP in hopes of doing that. What we found was we might need to tweak it slightly further, because what we really want is meaningful participation where these disadvantaged business entities aren't just slapped on the application. They're intimately involved, they're learning, and they're getting stronger and greater knowledge of the industry so that they can meaningfully participate both now and in the future. And so what I can do, I'll pause here for a minute and let everybody I know I briefly stopped on this adjustment to the pool. I'll stop here for a second and let everybody take a look at that. And then I will flip over to the actual QAP amendment and take a look through that. I believe that was provided to everyone before the meeting, and you all might have had a chance to look at it, but I'll also just take a moment to scroll through that and touch base on it and see if anyone has any questions. But as you can see here, what we do with these pools is we estimate what we expect to receive. We don't know exactly until the year that we're allocating, but we'll make these allocations in January of 2024. And we created the Eastern Kentucky pool, and we allocated about 12%, or we allocated 12% of the total tax credits to that pool. We shaved about 5% off of the preservation and existing supply pool, 2% off of new construction, and 5% off of innovation. So we still have, fairly solid pools by making those adjustments, but we also are able to create this Eastern Kentucky new supply pool.
Hey, can I just, so that I make sure I understand this?
Sure.
So when I look at 2023, this 11,650 is divided up 37% go to preservation. Now it'll be 32%, and just making sure I'm reading it right.
That's
will
correct.
Go to preservation. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I could follow it.
Sure, no, absolutely.
There's a lot of numbers and percentages, and I had to figure out, because I'm dumb, that you added all these up to come to 11,500. And these were the percentages of the 11,650, and then these are the new percentages of the 11,650. And that makes sense. And I'm really happy that you responded. In the interest of being clear about everything, we need the DLG to ante up a whole lot more for those tax exempt bond gaps, and even the gaps of for the 4% tax credits, so that West Kentucky and everywhere else can really do these use the money that is going to be available. And in Eastern Kentucky, we probably need to layer on assigning some Section 8 assistance to some of those places. I know that's not in the QAP, but we need to realize how, as I've come to realize, thank you, how much more layering is necessary for Eastern Kentucky, but that as originally proposed with the DLG assistance, how inadequate it was for West Kentucky and even Central Kentucky. So we're very dependent on the DLG doing some revisions, but I see this as a really good way to resolve the issues that were raised. Thank you.
And I will say DLG has been good to work with in this regard. Our conversations are ongoing, but they are working with us and taking heed of the public comments that we've received.
And David, I kind of said that out loud to make sure I understood all that I've been educated about, and
yes.
I think I do, don't I?
Yes.
Okay.
And we are, and we continue to work with DLG. I know Dennis is on, and if he wants to speak to anything, I'll let him. But I don't want to get ahead of them on anything with respect to any of their plans in this particular meeting. But we are working with them regarding changes that they can potentially make that might help.
And then I want to add that, next year we do a whole new QAP. So any of the issues that have been raised that aren't pertinent to this, we'll have full discussion.
We will, and I'll honestly say,
I know.
I'll honestly say we've received some great feedback with respect to the QAP as a whole. But it's just at this time, given that we're just tweaking, amending the existing QAP. While I appreciate the feedback on the QAP as a whole, I don't think it's necessarily appropriate to make, to open the whole thing back up at this point in time. But I do appreciate the comments we've received on it as a whole, and we'll definitely take those into consideration, as well as, future comments about it.
Does anybody else have any comments related to this? David, with hearing none other from the committee, I do have a question related to the cuts, and just to make sure I understand, or if the committee understands, do y'all foresee any negative behavior based on the cuts in innovation and preservation and then the new construction? Any hurdles that we might run into?
No, I don't expect any hurdles. One of the things that we wanted to be conscious of is, if it's essentially a pie, right? We can't make the pie any bigger. We're estimating roughly $11.5 to $12 million, and so you got to slice it, one way or another. You can't make it any bigger, and so, you notice that for example, our new construction and preservation pools are divided into urban and rural. And so to the extent you start to make those pools smaller, each of those sub pools becomes smaller as well. And so one concern that we had was if you make them too small, you start to impact the number of projects that can be funded from those pools. So we did attempt to do it in a way, looking back at past demand, that would you can't guarantee that, but that would impact it in the least way possible. So we still feel that these pools will have a sufficient amount of funds, while also allowing us to maintain an innovation pool that has some impact, as well as create an Eastern Kentucky pool. But that's really the main drawback of doing it this way. But I don't have, we've given it a lot of consideration, and I don't have too much heartburn about the way we did it.
No, and neither do I. From that standpoint, I was just wanting to know from y'all's chair if there was any issues that y'all might see. As Granny used to say, when all the grandkids came over on Saturday, there's only so many I can cut. So she would cut smaller slivers for us kids. So I get that part. So what other questions do we have related? Oh, we get David on here. Well, I'm assuming.
Could I ask one more question?
Absolutely, Kathy.
Has this been presented to the people who have commented, or will this be released again?
It will. It has not. I wanted to take the opportunity to present it to this committee first.
Okay.
We do have an e-gram lined up. I'm hoping that it goes out tomorrow. It might be later this week, in which we will notify the public, those subscribed to the e-grams, of this revised amendment so that they can see it.
Because I have treated everything you've said as confidential until you release it. So tomorrow, when the e-gram comes out, then it will be public.
Yes, then everyone will see what the board will be considering at the upcoming board meeting.
Okay. David, do we need any action on this from the committee since you're going to be sending the e-gram out tomorrow?
I will defer to Sam and Wendy, but I believe this is solely for you all to make a recommendation to the board at the upcoming meeting. But Sam and Wendy, I'll let you all make that answer.
Yeah, I didn't know if we needed to make a recommendation since there's a possibility that we could change based on the public comment, correct? Or is that what I'm hearing?
Well, we won't be reopening public comment.
Oh, I got you.
Simply, we had our public comment period, and this version has changes to what we originally published in order to address those public comments. So now we're putting out what the board will be considering based on that public comment period.
So then we will entertain then a motion to present to the board or approve to the board.
And Sam, if it comes from the committee, well, then I guess we should vote on it, because if it comes from the committee, there doesn't need to be a second, right?
So the committee will be making a recommendation, but the full board will be approving the final version.
I get that. Just as a point of procedure, if we vote on this as a committee and it gets introduced as a committee motion, then a second is not necessary.
There will still need to be a motion and a second.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So I will entertain one if so be. I don't know.
Well, I would want to hear Mr. Peoples is satisfied with this.
PG, I think you're still on mute.
There we go. No,
oh, there you go.
If I wasn't satisfied, you would have heard already. So no, I'm good.
Okay.
Kathy, PG is as shy as you are.
Okay.
No, I would have said no. I'm really pleased with what I see has been a thorough process, and the process took in consideration the events, the tornadoes and the floods and all, and it was highly sensitive to the needs of the people.
Well, there aren't many of us, so I'll move that the committee accept this.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So we have a recommendation, David. So
Thank you all very much.
great, as the committee has already mentioned, great work there. That's
Great work.
That's tough
Great
when you're
work.
cutting.
And Barry, I just want to say that the staff took a lot of time and attention, and I happen to know had interviewed a lot of people in person as well. They understood the importance of this, and if there's anything we need to do to get DLG even happier to do what needs to be done, you just let me know.
Wonderful.
Excellent work.
Absolutely. This work is not easy, especially when you're cutting. So always addition is better than subtraction. It's a lot easier.
Yes.
So with that, we have informational items. Wendy, do we have any informational items we need to throw out there?
I don't believe so. Mm-mm.
And then items from the board or staff. Do we have anything y'all want to add?
Nothing
Just
to add here except to thank everybody for attending.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jack.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I always entertain the most important motion of the committee.
Motion to adjourn.
There you go. Thank you, Kathy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, there we go, PG. Well,
Yeah.
that passes because we don't have anybody else. We've got the majority already. So guys, appreciate everything. Look forward to seeing y'all in person here in a couple of weeks.
Look forward to it.
Certainly. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Recording stopped.